2025 was a pretty weird year, although it will be mostly remembered as the year where I had 4 separate conversations in public that mentioned the Zootopia abortion comic. That's 2 more than I expected. I'm kind of burnt out from doing extensive end-of-the-year videos. There's defo new cartoons or revivals that I want to cover individually at some point, but I don't feel particularly motivated to generate concrete thoughts about Bear Brick. Sorry, BE@R Brick, or whine about how Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus changed my beloved theme song or something. Besides outliers like K-pop Demon Hunters, the animation that dominated the internet this year was mostly indie cartoons, particularly ones made by current industry talent. You got Knights of Guinevere from Dana Terrace, Pretty Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl from Fionna Mai, and El Guapo vs. the Narco Vampires from Jorge Gutierrez. Special mention goes to The 3 Tomes by Brianna Novicus. It's a magical girl coming-of-age story about a witch in training that falls into a love triangle with 2 vampires. I've been watching Brie make this pilot over the past few years, so it was a treat to see it finally come together. It really taps into that 2000s action cartoon vibe, with strong characters and sound design. I'm excited to see more from all of these projects, but it begs the question, what about industry cartoons made by indie talent? Not that one. Outside creators entering the studio system is nothing new, especially with guest animated segments or episodes. Sick Animations was on Uncle Grandpa long before Smiling Friends. However, I thought this would be a fun way to cover 5 of my favorite cartoons or projects from 2025 and the people who made them. Links to everything and everyone I mentioned will be in the description, unless YouTube removes that feature in a future update. You can find 80% of them on HBO Max or Adult Swim. Warner Brothers Discovery funding any animated thing that's not Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty 2, or Rick and Morty 3 is appreciated. I won't be covering independent shows that are also available on major streaming services like Hell of a Boss or The Amazing Digital Circus. Mostly because I don't want a repeat of how I got my dad into Hazbin Hotel, and I want to skin Jax alive. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? By the way, since the fall, I've been working to release 1 new video each month and hope to carry that momentum into 2026. Emphasis on hope since I'm dropping this in February. Before, I was focusing on larger projects and big life changes, like starting a full-time job and moving. But apparently people like it when I do this magical thing called uploading videos. I'll try to cover at least one head of the NICKtendo Mount Rushmore this year. Stay tuned.
I've always found honesty the best policy when dealing with adversity.
Yeah, well, not me, Abe.
For SpongeBob Squarepants, 2025 was all about looking back. This movie was like the old SpongeBob movie. The tone of this episode was like old SpongeBob episodes. This special went back in time to revisit old SpongeBob episodes. I'm not surprised that a franchise would utilize nostalgia and take influence from its past in year 26. Just that Mr. Krabs would get buff again so soon after he did so in the iconic Cuck episode. All of this made Go Fetch a breath of fresh air. This 6-minute short was produced entirely in-house by Pinreel Inc, a small production company formed by Adam Poloian, a former storyboard/supervising director on the series, and a potential contender for a Zoran Mandani lookalike contest. This is Pinreel's 2nd project after the music video for Video Games by Tenacious D from 2023. Wait, how'd they know? Gary's special red ball falls deep into the Mariana Trench, so SpongeBob and his pet snail must avoid its terrors, including an unstoppable anglerfish, to retrieve it.
We're gonna die!
The environments were inspired by Viewmaster slides and dioramas from Fleischer cartoons, blending 2D and 3D elements together to create tactile environments. The title card was even hand-sculpted out of foam by Nick Jennings, art director for the first 3 seasons. The Pinreel crew emulated painting techniques like brushstrokes and splatters on textures to pay tribute to the early backgrounds from the series. I kinda wish I could see them more clearly during the first minute, because of how much blurring there is to create a depth of field effect. Wow, it looks just like the SpongeBob I remember. Early on, it also bugged me how much this guy moves. His whole body jiggles as he goes from pose to pose instead of snapping between them. There's a lot of squash and stretch or smears added to casual movements like walking or arm raising. I can't deny that it looks impressive. Absolutely no appeal is lost in the translation from drawing to model. It's just showing off compared to the traditional animation that's being emulated, even if I think the intention was to come across as handcrafted instead of automated.
Yeah!
Honestly, these nitpicks don't bother me too much because everything inside the trench is phenomenal. SpongeBob is dragged across the rocky sea floor, flung through the sky, and digested. The characters or camera is almost always moving, taking advantage of the three-dimensional space. SpongeBob himself has these big reactions to the horrifying creatures he encounters as he desperately chases after the ball. The exaggerated style of character acting comes into its own here. The franchise has never looked like this before. Within only a few minutes, this short establishes a world completely unlike Bikini Bottom, populated by alien jellyfish, two-headed eels, and fish with legs. It's heightened by the soundtrack from occasional show composer Ego Plum. He mixes the traditional Hawaiian sounds with striking electric guitars, mystical sitars, dramatic stings, and scattered synths, all crammed together. Rarely do we get this much original music in an episode, adding to its distinct flavor. If this reminds me of anything, it's the Creature from the Krusty Krab video game, and that's a comparison I welcome. While this short is more on brand, it also skews darker than usual and loves pitting our boy Bob against bizarre and occasionally bioluminescent beasts. Once again, everything wants to eat SpongeBob alive. This is how the game ends, by the way. Usually, my videos don't start out with this much gore. Bookending the chaos are some short but sweet moments between this lifelong pet and owner. There's a small emotional hook to give the standout presentation of Go Fetch some substance, making sure it doesn't overstay its welcome. I dig the characterization of Gary as this wall-eyed little animal, rarely aware of the danger that surrounds him. I think Buckelew and his team succeeded in their goal of establishing a new visual language for the series in CGI that looks like an official episode, instead of a Fortnite screenshot. I wouldn't mind if we got more shorts in this style. Just stop before it becomes nostalgic. I'm usually skeptical about how this character will look in 3D, but just like SpongeBob himself, Pinreel absolutely crushed it. Oh, I didn't know we're doing SpongeBob torture porn now. If you're my 10-year-old cousin watching this, please don't try to look up what that joke means.
Flat white for Gregory! Gregory!
That has to be Gregory, right? Anyway, I'm almost out of mushroom.
Hey, what's up? For Gregory? Thanks.
So that really was his name, Gregory.
I love how human Adult Swim's common side effects feels. It was co-created by Joe Bennett's Green Street Pictures. The company cut its teeth doing independent and commissioned shorts, working alongside animators from across the world that shared similar filmmaking sensibilities. Their previous show, Scavenger's Reign on HBO Max, dropped in 2023, with some breathtaking alien designs and landscapes inspired by French artist Mobius. Now, I wasn't as captivated by the dialogue as I was by the visuals. Maybe I would have liked it more if it was faster paced, in 3D, and also SpongeBob was in it. Common Side Effects has more substance behind it. Once again, the scope is wide and prominently features bold animation and fantastical environments. They appear whenever a character trips out after eating a blue angel mushroom, which is sought after by a pharmaceutical company and the FDA. It's seemingly capable of curing all illness. The only side effects being dreams that highlight one's desires, littered with abstract objects and little white guys that look like baby YouTube Ransonas. To contrast, every other piece of the show is often mundane and based in some aspect of reality, although the real world is just as detailed as the dreams. Every environment is decorated as if it were a fully realized set. Indoor lighting has an artificial look to it, especially in cold office buildings. Despite the Code Lyoko-sized foreheads, a lot of emotion is wrung out of these squinty eyes and wrinkly faces. Each character acts and sounds like a real person. Even the terrible boss Mike Judge plays.
Can you tell me how to get my TV off the channel that's like just stuff about the hotel?
Goodbye, Rick.
Okay, yeah, I'll figure something out.
There's real drama in the central conflict, whether to work with the system or around it. There would be dire consequences to dismantling the healthcare system by introducing a miracle drug, even if it should be accessible to all. It's captivating to watch heroes and villains become divided, both learning to see the flaws in their perspectives.
Every other drug that we make, every drug our competitors make, replaced. It would replace all the people that you employ, all the scientists, the researchers, even our sales reps, to say nothing of the doctors, the hospitals, the insurance people, all of them. out of business.
My only problem with the 8-episode first season is how sudden the ending is. Leaving drama between characters unresolved, suddenly introducing major plot turns, and concluding with a massive cliffhanger that doesn't come across as an ending. I would be so disappointed if I didn't already know a season 2 was in the works, but that's years away. I thought there was something wrong with the finale when it ended so abruptly. Then I realized there were 2 extra episodes I never watched. They're terrific. They only make the others better and fixed all my complaints, which weren't really complaints after all. God, this sandwich sucks. There's no bread on top. I'm so glad I decided to cover this series just so I could discover I hadn't finished it. This is like when Stranger Things fans gaslit themselves into thinking there was a secret extra episode, except my stupidity actually paid off. Episodes 9 and 10 were just independent of the others. See, it's all on theme. I was angry at common side effects for absolutely no reason.
I'm in here for a crime you did.
Oh, hell, are you mad at me?
Yes, very.
Damn, I hate when people are mad at me.
You clowns.
Through his independent work and shorts for A Studio Digital, Joe Cappa has been honing in on this character of a surprisingly thoughtful and caring teenage hunk. Sometimes there are 3 of them.
Congratulations, Dad. That's officially the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Thank you, but I think it's gonna need a little bit more power. What do you think about that, boys?
Now, how did I know you were gonna say that?
This evolved into a series of shorts for Adult Swim, poking fun at cheesy 90s family dramas and sitcoms like Seventh Heaven and Home Improvement. We follow a recently widowed dad and his sons Preston, Tristan, and Duncan. Each boy makes up for their lack of self-awareness with extreme sensitivity and empathy. I love how intensely respectful they are of the women who hold any sort of authority in their lives, ranging from their dentist to their waitress. The trio are driven by their emotions and are easily influenced. Little problems like losing a beloved bomber jacket can alter one's entire personality.
Sorry I haven't been myself lately.
Nonsense. You'll always be our captain.
Even in a show where the main characters can be as interchangeable as Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Season 1 still bothers to give all 3 a spotlight episode, and little traits to track. Preston's bomber jacket shows his love of aviation, so that's why he explains the flight instruments when the Campbell family flies to Cancun. Small, well-observed details like stilted movements, weird timing, and overly detailed expressions are what make the show for me. It's also got a Mike Judge quality to it, capturing the specificity of this run-of-the-mill Midwest family like King of the Hill does, but also the boys laugh like Beavis and or Butthead.
Tristan, did you get your chips? Roger that. Tristan understood the assignment.
As grounded as it can be, the art style has some natural uncanniness to it, like with all the generic fonts used for text. Aspects like celebrities playing themselves, including the next-door neighbor, are also here to make fun of the show's inspirations.
Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Sean Astin.
However, as Season 1 goes on, I like how it stretches the show in 2 directions. In between episodes covering heavier issues like alcoholism and toxic masculinity are ones that run wild with dream sequences and hallucinations, and you know, I'm realizing how similar the charm of this sounds like common side effects on paper, but the execution couldn't be more different. Even if you can't get into Haha You Clowns for its look or its sweetness, you have to agree on one thing: that dad sure did a bang-up job raising those boys.
Hey, room for one more?
Joni Peppers is the only animator willing to speak the truth. She's produced multiple feature-length 2D films animated almost entirely by herself, developing a signature style defined by loose expressions, erratic movements, and flexible designs. It appears spontaneous but is skillfully crafted. I'm a big fan, so when Joni did a few scenes for the Adventure Time spin-off Fionna and Cake, I pointed at the screen and yelled, much like the clip that this arm is from. Season 2 had a theme of fairy tales, diving into the consequences and unresolved conflicts from the prior batch of episodes to deconstruct the uplifting conclusion of Season 1.
I saved the world. And I'm still a loser.
Many cold opens are framed like a fable or storybook, For instance, a recap is illustrated in watercolor and colored pencil by artist Ella Flora. The intro to The Insect That Sang presents the origin of green magic, 3 wizards trapped a being that they dubbed the Heart of the Forest to maintain the fabulous powers that it bestowed upon them. This magic transcends the multiverse and holds a deep connection to one's mental state. It's hard to define and always evolving compared to most abilities we've seen in the land of Ooh, so it fits Jonni's style pretty nicely. I kinda wish Adventure Time still had season orders big enough to do full guest animated episodes instead of the brief sequences they've had since moving to HBO Max. But this is a nice compromise, injecting some unique energy into what could have been a standard piece of exposition.
Fearing they would lose the heart again, the Green Wizards entrapped it to keep their source of magic a secret, on pain of death.
Jonni's cold open also connects to arcs for the main trio of Fionna, Cake, and Huntress Wizard. They all have traumas, insecurities, or fears that they push aside instead of addressing, hurting their loved ones while trying to protect them. Albeit unintentionally with these 3. It's the driving force for a smaller, more character-focused season that puts the multiverse hopping aside for slice-of-life hijinks. Romantic drama was never my favorite part of this franchise, yet it does allow for Fionna World to be fleshed out, gaining its own strange quirks that make it more than just a domesticated gender swap of Ooh. I can't believe Cake the Cat doesn't support small creators. I'm referring to this universe's cast of Cheers.
Stretchy Cat! Welcome to Cheers.
I enjoyed the first half of this batch, even if it was kind of frustrating how the ongoing plot felt like it was moving at a snail's pace. There's no episodes I disliked, it just lacked the clear goals and momentum of its predecessor. I'm glad it had a weekly airing schedule, but that may have been to its detriment. Lots of failed attempts by Huntress Wizard to travel home, will they won't they's with Fionna, and fundraising to basically save a rec center. While we only get a few seconds or minutes per episode where the show says, "We are going to kill Finn the Human." I think the growing pains of Season 2 partially come from turning a standalone miniseries into an ongoing series. I do give it credit for filling a niche, being the rare adult cartoon about childless 20-something adults. I think it makes sense for the characters to act irrationally and not know what they want sometimes. I enjoyed seeing a side of Adventure Time that's been a little neglected ever since it shifted to big streaming events. It comes together nicely, with an emotionally charged ending too. Also, this season probably would have been slightly better if it had more guest animation. See? This tangent wasn't entirely off topic. The finale contains a minor cliffhanger that I hope gets resolved. No matter what evil studio buys Warner Bros. Discovery, formerly in AT&T, AOL, Time, and Turner Company. Actually, if there's no Season 3 renewal or any more Adventure Time projects, does that mean Finn the Human dies anyway?
Exquisite Corpse is a game. You fold a piece of paper, usually 3 ways, and then you unfold it and someone draws the head on the top part, and then you fold that so that the next person can't see it. The next person will draw the torso and then fold it over so the third person can't see any of it, and the third person draws the legs. The fun part of the game is revealing all the parts that everyone drew.
I can see it through.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, that's not bad.
What if you made a cartoon like that? The title of the half-hour Adult Swim special, The Elephant, refers to a parable about a group of blind men who each interpret an elephant as being a different animal upon touching it. In other words, it's about addressing the elephant in the room. Here, 3 teams of animators, spearheaded by Cartoon Network creators and a slew of independent talent, each produce 7-minute shorts based on characters created during an Exquisite Corpse game that form one story, with Titmouse overseeing production. The catch? None of them knew what the others were making. The end result varies wildly in its visual language, score, and storytelling, but what brings it together is how each segment represents the beginning, middle, and end of a being's life.
What am I? I'm not sure.
The head of the elephant was directed by Adventure Time creator Pendleton Ward and Beto Irigoyen, who Ward discovered from his work on this crazy Invisalign ad for Twitch. It captures the overwhelming feeling of coming into existence. Expectations for her morality are thrust upon her by evil scientists who seek to apprehend the woman in a shimmering futuristic city.
I'm not evil. You're evil. evil.
It's up to the character to decide who they are and what they want to be. Inspired by Meowmalade, the secret agent with a clown in their face and a unicycle spaceship. The segment is littered with flashy chase sequences, style changes, twisted perspectives, and blink or you'll miss it details. Like a QR code for the video game being played on screen. The soundtrack by jazz duo Dolphin Hyperspace is another highlight. It also knows when to calm down and let the charming cast take the spotlight. There is a cute but tragic tale of self-identity here, but I didn't pick up on it until my second or third watch. I like that. I like how much of this journey is shaped by distractions.
As I was saying, I am a secret agent of the universe.
The body of the elephant was directed by Steven Universe and OKKO Let's Be Heroes creators Rebecca Sugar and Ian Jones-Querty, as well as London-based indie duo Remus and Kiki. They've done a slew of animated game trailers and Adult Swim channel IDs. I instantly fell in love with their sharp and sketchy designs of 80s era punk dancers in New York City, with big movements that reminded me of Shin-Chan. The character has been reborn with a button on their chest that plays an entrancing beat when pushed, something even they can't resist.
Existence is so much easier if you don't question it.
This is another segment about our protagonists forging their own identity despite the expectations placed onto them. A theme inspired by pressures that Rebecca and Ian acknowledged when following up their previous and popular work.
The pitch is like, you know, it's Penn, it's Pat, it's Ian and Rebecca, each gonna take a piece of this thing, which is loaded with these expectations that we're going to deliver on a certain kind of entertainment.
And I think that's why we specifically were like, oh, we want to make something that doesn't look like Steven or OKKO.
Dude, do you know how expensive that Adventure Time art book in the background is nowadays? They have 2 of them. Here, we're introduced to the idea that there's other exquisite corpses out there that the character may have been in their previous lives, that this is a continuation of their story. I think it's a smart bit of commentary to emphasize the center of their body, as they learn to not be defined just by how they look.
And if everything has a beginning and also an end, then this was just the middle.
The Legs of the Elephant was directed by Over the Garden Wall creator Patrick McHale and a slew of others. It begins with the character rapidly switching from one body to another, including a few seconds of a grimy Animal War scene animated by Nick DiLiberto, or an appearance by the titular elephant later on, put together by Sam Wolf Connolly and Greg Sharp. When reborn as the Frankenstein-like creation of Screeno, the character starts to bond with her anxious inventor Dan.
Who are you?
That's complicated.
Oddly enough, this is the segment that feels the most like the creator's previous work. Service Studio Digital Emation and composer The Blasting Company both returned from Over the Garden Wall. The visual emphasis is placed on the detailed, anime-inspired characters and environments instead of the motion this time. The score is filled with wistful piano and playful strings. The awkward and blunt romantic conversations give me big Wirt and Sarah vibes too. Having the character live so many other lives, leading up to becoming Screeno, gives it weight as their last form. Through the kill switch on their body, the choice to end their life is finally put into their own hands, not someone else's. Pat just had to assume that the other segments would have the characters making a meaningful connection with someone else. But it's the key to helping this ending stick the landing as well as it does.
I'm not supposed to be here.
No. That whenever you show up, it's because someone wanted you there.
In the 2010s, because of the way new Cartoon Network series often came from a crew member on a different production and their general house style, it was easy to draw comparisons, even if the goals behind each of the series were very different. I don't know how you would make something comparable to this special without using the same team or premise. It did a masterful job being more than just a typical anthology and making its format not feel like a gimmick, introducing me to so many amazing new artists from outside of the traditional animation industry along the way. Nice job, The Fant. Also, I'm being told that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus did not change its intro. Maybe the animation industry isn't entirely cooked after all.